news update on top Accolade news. Tonight, Africa's story unfolds in ballot cast under pressure, economies walk in tight ropes, and victories that turn nations into households of pride. From Guinea's referendum to Botswana's sprint into history, this is the news where politics, power, and people collide. The headlines: Guinea referendum tests Junta's grip on power. Mutharika edges ahead in Malawi's contentious presidential race. Malawi detains 8 over suspected pools irregularities. Congo to leave Cobalt export ban. We begin tonight in West Africa, where Guinea's ballot box is doubling as a battleground, testing whether the promise of democracy can outlast the shadow of military rule. Vote counting was underway on Sunday evening in Guinea's constitutional referendum, seen as a decisive step that could allow the Junta leader to run for president. The vote follows years of political turmoil since the 2021 coup, with opposition parties dissolved or suspended and calls for a boycott growing louder. Around 6.7 million Guineans were eligible to cast ballots, with a 50% turnout required for the draft constitution to pass. Critics view the process as a power grab, while supporters argue it could pave the way for stability and development. In a region marked by coups in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, Guinea's referendum underscores the fragile balance between promise of democracy and the realities of military rule. In West Africa, ballots can cut as sharply as bayonets. While Guinea wrestles with the vote that could entrench military power, Malawi faces a different dilemma: whether to return to a familiar past or stay the course with a struggling present. Former President Peter Mutharika has taken an early lead in Malawi's September 16 election, securing about 51% of votes in a quota of councils against incumbent Lazarus Chakwera's 39%, according to provisional results, as the Electoral Commission warns against premature victory claims while verifying tally sheets. With economic woes and governance failures shaping the contest, the outcome may decide whether Malawians choose the memory of stability or the hope of reform. In politics, the past often campaigns harder than the present. What began as a contest between past and present has now turned into a crisis of trust as police make arrests over suspected irregularities. Malawi's election crisis deepened after police detained 8 people over alleged vote rigging following complaints from President Lazarus Chakwera's Malawi Congress Party about counting irregularities in nearly half of the country's districts. The MCP has formally requested a physical audit, citing what it calls serious anomalies, while Chakwera, seeking a second term, faces mounting pressure amid economic hardship. Media advocacy groups have condemned the suspension of live result broadcasts on major TV stations, warning that press freedom is being compromised. With tensions rising and trust in the process eroding, the disputed polls underscores how fragile democracy becomes when transparency is locked behind closed doors. Election turmoil may shake political trust in Malawi, but in Congo, market intervention aimed to restore economic trust. The vote battles show how fragile the systems can be. The Democratic Republic of Congo will lift its cobalt ban on October 16, allowing shipment of 125 tons for the rest of 2025 and capping export of 96,600 tons annually through 2027. The quota system supported by Glencore but opposed by CMOC seeks to stabilize prices after this year's supply freeze, even as artisan mining and eastern conflict complicate oversight. In Congo, the world's cobalt lifeline runs through remote markets and minefield. You're watching the African News Update on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. We move to to Ethiopia's books, where numbers tell a harsher story of debt, default, and dreams weighed down by red ink. Ethiopia's debt sustainability has been downgraded again, with the IMF and World Bank designating its debt carrying capacity as weak amid dwindling foreign reserves, missed Eurobond payment totaling $1.1 billion and mounting restructuring talks with creditors. While officials pin hope on IMF-backed reforms and projected GDP growth above 7%, the reality of a $10.8 billion financing gap underscores a fragile economy still haunted by state-owned enterprise and shaky export gains. For Ethiopia, growth on paper cannot erase red ink on the ledgers. For citizens feeling the pinch of debt in Ethiopia, the promise of AfCFTA offers a bigger hope that one nation's struggle can be answered by a continent's unity. A 3-day regional workshop on the African Continental Free Trade Area in Lusaka, Zambia, concluded with senior officials and partners from 4 countries and key institutions calling for accelerated implementation, stronger intra-African trade, and inclusive economic growth, with ECA leaders stressing the need for debt, sustainability, and private sector engagement. Participants pledged to tackle non-tariff barriers, harmonize standards, and invest in infrastructure. Africa's path to transformation may depend less on speed and more on building the right bridges across its borders. We now step into a different kind of spotlight, where music, love, and luxury collide on the global stage. Grammy-winning singer John Legend has reflected warmly on performing at the wedding of Nigerian artist Mr. Easy and Temi Otedola, daughter of billionaire Femi Otedola, an opulent affair held across Monaco, Dubai, and Iceland and covered by Vogue magazine. Legend, who sang All of Me before guests including Aliko Dangote, praised the grandeur of the ceremony, where entire Nigerian families flew in for the celebrations. When music and matrimony meet, some weddings become global spectacles etched in style and sound. And finally, in sports, Botswana declares holiday after historic world title win. Botswana has declared September 29th a public holiday to mark its men's 4x400-meter relay triumph at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, hailed by President Duma Boko as an historic Africa win. The victory capped Botswana's best-ever medal haul and signaled the nation's growing global sporting stature, proved that Botswana's brightest diamonds now run on the track. And so, from contested elections to contested markets, from music at a wedding to medals on a track, Africa's pulse beats in resilience, ambition, and spectacle. These headlines remind us the continent's future isn't written in ink or stone, it is written in the choices its peoples make every single day. I am Ojoromi Okocha, and this is the African News Update on Top Accolade News, keeping you connected to the pulse of the continent.